Prepare to be lost in total immersion with Alienware's 3821 DW Total Immersion Monitor, guys. Ultra wide ratio for great productivity, 38-inch bad boy, 21:9 curved IPS panel, still coming in at a blistering 144 hertz refresh rates with 95% DCP color coverage, which is great for professional image and video work, and it's got NVIDIA G-Sync Ultimate. Hello everybody, and welcome to your Cherry ADC guide. So on Cherry, you do have a couple of options for the start: the Death Toll or the Leather Cowl. Both are really good. There's a little bit of like, sometimes Death Toll's better on one character, sometimes Leather Cowl's better on another character. Honestly, whichever one is your preference, the difference in the early game / late game is not actually that crazy. I like the Leather Cowl for a little bit of more attack speed on Cherry. And then for your first item, you basically have to go Transcendence. As much as you would like to go Ichieval on Cherry because it's such a good item, the Transcendence, because of the fact that it gives you like 100 power when it's fully stacked and you get to the late game, it's too much damage, it's too much to pass up, and every time you don't buy Transcendence, you're gonna be like, oh, I wish I would have had a Transcendence. Just like if you're not subscribed to the Twitchiest community, you're gonna be like, oh, I should have been subscribed so I didn't miss a video, and that's why I rang the bell for notifications, so make sure that you do that. Gonna grab our Cherry, our one on Cherry first. This is our main form of lane clear, although we are not going to level this ability to max. And they stole our purple buff. This is fine. I hate purple buffs. Purple buffs are overrated. Luckily, I'm a Cherry, and I can use my one to go ahead and clear most of this wave. And I guess we're going to play Operation Try to go to their purple buff or something. Cherry is got a lot of ability damage in her kit, but she is not an ability-based hunter. Now, you might be like, if she's not an ability-based hunter, then why do we got like Transcendence all up in here? Because Transcendence is just too much power, gives you so much damage on your actual autos themselves. So it's just too much to pass up. But it will also double down, and it will help you with your 2, and particularly your ultimate, give you some extra base damage, some nice scaling off of that as well, which is always nice. Level 2 here, I'm gonna play it safe, so I'm gonna get my 3. This is gonna be our escape ability on Cherry. If you're feeling confident here, you can go for the 1-2, but then you won't have a getaway skill if you get ganked. And I always kind of assume that I'm getting ganked, and in general, it's always safe to get your escape second. For our ability level order, though, we are going to be getting our 2 whenever we can. This is going to increase the base damage and also lower the cooldown. People underestimate just how effective this ability is in PvP. It has a massive slow on it. It has physical protection shred on it. And the cooldown is actually not that bad. And you can walk around with it channeled, which means that you can have it ready for the exact moment that you actually need it. And you don't have to like wait to channel it up in combat. You can just turn the corner with it already ready to go. It is a fantastic ability and quite underrated. Gonna go ahead and double down on my 3 so I can dash into this Kumba. We'll be able to grab a kill right there. After our 2, we level up that ulti to max. You're gonna get a ton of damage off of the ultimate when you level it up. But that's basically the only value that you're getting from it, is just a ton of damage. It's kind of ridiculous. I want to dive so bad. Almost gonna get myself killed here because I want to dive so badly. My blood is boiling going for the AMC. After our 2, then we're gonna max out our 3 and our 1. I see a lot of Cherry players
Something sharp?
max out the 1. I leveled that up last. I would recommend it. what you're actually getting out of the one is basically minion damage. And you're gonna be full clearing with just your regular autos on the minions anyway. So the only PvP value that you get out of it is the splinter damage, which is super negligible. The 3 actually gives you more damage and it lowers the cooldown of your escape. So I see no reason not to level Cherry in the order of 2, 4, 3, 1. I've always leveled her that way. Her kit just feels right with it. I think instinctually people go, oh, this is my wave clear with the 1, so I'm gonna level down first. But you really only need it so you can actually get those few auto attacks, because that's what's really giving you the clear. The actual percentage minion damage is kind of irrelevant. For Cherry and her stages of the game, definitely more of an early game character. She's got good clear. She's got a strong 1v1 because she's got multiple ways to escape abilities in her kit, right? She's got a CC immunity. She's got a complete invulnerability. She's got a slow, a stun, a knockup. It makes her really good in the Hunter 1v1. She starts to struggle more in the late game. The one problem with Cherry's kit is that it is close range. So you got to get up close and personal. You got to get involved in order to make her kit work, which means as you get later and later and later into the game, she becomes harder and harder and harder to properly play. So I'm going to get a ton of damage right here. Pop into my 1, and I should be able to finish off this AMC. So I sit down in my 3, get the maximum amount of damage out of it, pop on out for a little knockup. Don't even have to use my ultimate on him. Just gonna pop my 1 again for a dude through auto attacks on the minion, so that way he cannot hide behind me. But basically, the later you go into the game on Cherry, the harder the game is gonna get for you. Early game, very strong. Mid game, pretty dang strong. Those 2v2, 3v3 skirmishes, she likes those, especially if she can get like a big ultimate off. A lot of potential there. Late game is hard to get off your 2. Even getting off your escape ability when there's like a whole team fight going on, it's easily interruptible because there's like a quarter of a second delay on the ability, which just makes it more difficult than it needs to be. So do try to abuse your early to mid game. As far as the role, you're an ADC on Cherry. That means your job is to get objectives. It also means your job is to farm. We're going to be sitting over here farming our brains out, not making a lot of rotations until, and this is different in Smite right now. This has kind of transpired over the last 2 months. Smite has really, really transferred heavily into being a 15-minute meta. And what I mean by that is the 15-minute marker, just keep an eye on it, is the time that you need to be grouping for team fights. No matter what role you are, whether you're in solo lane, whether you're in dual lane, the ADC, doesn't matter. You need to make sure you're getting grouped for that 15-minute marker. I'm going to dive into the AMC right here because I should be able to grab that kill with the 3 really quick. Those team fights in between the 15 to 20-minute marker are going to decide the game 90% of the time. You get right into that sweet, sweet mid game, and because of the way that the farm works on the map, there's not a whole lot of comeback potential. So if you get that thick lead at the 15-minute marker, that one team fight becomes a gold fury, becomes several towers, becomes a pyromancer, becomes all of their farm in the jungle, and now they're off of their farm rotations, and there's too much that goes too wrong too fast. So make sure that you're ready to rotate. Even as the ADC at that 15-minute marker, be ready to go for some combat.
Something sharp?
Matchup-wise on Cherry, she is the premier dodger of the Hunters. What that basically means is you can avoid the big, thick damage. So in the lane itself, a god like Uller is hard for you, because Uller's axe comes at you too quick, it stuns you, then he gets his whole combo on. Compared to a god like Anher impale stun too fast for you to dodge, it'll take you out of your 3, but After he hits you with it, he's gonna ulti. You can hop right into your 3 and avoid the majority of his ultimate damage. It's log, it's over time, it's channeled. So anybody that's got CC setups, and then they can get all of their damage off within the CC, those are troublesome for Cherry. Anybody that is reliant, like a Poseidon ADC, also pretty common right now. Poseidon, you're totally fine. He's reliant on the Whirlpool to set up the combo. No big thing. You can get right on out of it. Now, I am going to make some friends over here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a couple of 3s. I'm going to try to go for the knock-up on the Shiva. Not going to be able to reach it. Going to use my ulti here for CC immunity. As soon as that Shiva's about to be done, I'm going to go back and go for a little bite. Start channeling my 2. There's 4 people over here now. Athena might try to dash into me. So I'm going to keep backing all the way up through the tower. And Cherry, as you just seen, very safe. Very safe as far as ADCs go. Her ulti gives her that movement speed, CC immunity. She's got the escape capability with her 3, so you can basically get down the whole lane. Matchup like AMC, not a bad matchup for me at all. I've got more ability burst damage actually than an AMC in the early game. Later on in the game, AMC is going to be a better hunter than me, but in the early game, I win those 1v1s, and I even have the ability to avoid his stinger if I can time my 3 right. You got to do a little preemptive, but sometimes the AMC stinger is a little predictable. Just watch out for quick instant CCs on Cherry, things that are unavoidable like the Uller Axe. Because you have that build-up time on your 3, you're not going to be able to avoid it. Even if you react immediately to the sound effect, it's still going to hit you and get the damage off because of that pre-fire time. Don't be afraid to go for those fights as well on Cherry. Because you have the through autos, it means that when there's a wave and a wave, that's a great time for you to fight. Sure, you're going to take some damage from the minions, but they're not going to be able to hit you back because they're going to be hitting your minions, and you're just going to be hitting them in the head. You're going to win that trade every single time. Obviously, that doesn't work necessarily against, the Ramas and Izanamis of the world because they also have the through autos. But a Rama, you're just going to be outright anyway because you've got more ability damage, and poor Rama's not very good right now. Izanami, a little bit closer. It's going to be a little bit more of a skill-based matchup. For our second item, we're going to grab ourselves the Aussie. This trio here at the start, really standard start right now for hunters. If you don't know what to build on a hunter, this will work on literally everybody. Transcendence, Aussie, Executioner, you can't go wrong. You get good life steal, you get good pen, you get good power, you get good attack speed, you win a death toll or your leather cowl at the start. You can get away with it on literally anybody right now. Cherry's no exception. It also happens to be the best start on most of the hunters. There are a couple of exceptions here and there, but honestly, most gods you can just get away right now on hunters. We're going with this, and there's nothing being changed in the bonus balance, which means that this is going to stay kind of the primary hunter build for at least the next month or so. As we mentioned earlier, positioning-wise on Cherry is the hardest part. Very tricky when it comes to positioning because you do have to play her farther forward. If you play her too far back, you're just never going to get any damage off. And if you're a hunter not getting any damage off, then why are you playing hunter? What are you doing? So you do have to be more aggressive. You do have to be willing to get more involved. You can see the type of damage output that she has. Really strong damage output. I gotta go ahead and pop the beads because I know the Kumba and Ra are gonna go for that gnarly combo on me, and then I'm gonna use my ultimate to get away. So you can see most of the time I'm not using my ultimate as an aggressive skill. I'm using it as a defensive skill. It is unfortunate that that is the way that Cherry plays, but it's a lot like Arachne. Can you use Arachne ultimate aggressively? Sure, of course you can. Is it advisable? Not really. Not really. You really ought to be using Arachne ultimate defensively. Same thing with Cherry. A lot of the times you're gonna need to use her ultimate defensively. Yeah, it does a ton of damage. It's really great when you can get it off offensively, but that bonus movement speed, that CC immunity is gonna be her escape tool like 90% of the time. Another thing that's nice about Cherry is that her auto attacks are so wide on the one, so much easier to hit your autos. If you have a hard time with autos, Cherry's a great god to start playing because this makes her autos so thick. Also, she's got one of the safest last hits in the game because people underestimate how much damage her 3 does. But your 3, when you pop up on the exit damage, it's doing 300 burst damage right now. That's a crazy amount of burst damage at the 14 minute marker. Also, keep in mind that it's about the 14 minute marker, which means it's about time that I get ready to back, grab some wards, and then get ready to group with my team and start looking for some team action. For my second active, I opted for Shell this game. Both Shell
Something sharp?
and always make
like
sure you
it.
grab the Ferocious Executioner, by the way. It's just, you don't even have to think about it. It's the better one every time. As far as the build goes with the Shell, Aegis would have also been good here because they do have a Ra, but I'm a little bit more concerned about the consistent Shiva damage. That's the one that I'm afraid of. Shiva is a nightmare for hunters right now. Just W King at you. And I can't avoid that much of his burst damage because he's kind of got a lot of various abilities that are going to do damage over a period of like 5 seconds compared to the instant burst damage. So I grabbed myself that Shell. Shell also helps the team out, having multiple shells on your team. We don't even have any other shells, so I'm actually the only one. So I'm really glad that I got it. But having multiple shells on your team, also really strong. At this point, we should be grouping up probably around the Gold Fury, but honestly, us going over and just pushing the solo lane works as well. We just got to be careful that they don't start getting free objectives on the other side.
Starlight scatter.
Right here.
We got some straight up free kills over here, and people just kind of wander over. I'm gonna go into my 3, that way I reset this tower aggro. Just gonna stand on top of him for as long as I can. Get some nice damage out from the bleed. The pop up, boom, there's the pop up damage. Bada bing, bada boom, he gets nuked. We keep shoving over here. Now my team is grouped up over by the green. It looks like they're just gonna counter shove over in the duo lane. Honestly, that's fine. We just keep shoving towers of our own. They're still gonna miss out on the majority of the gold here. For the rest of the build, you get a little bit more leeway. Standardly, what you're gonna end up doing is grabbing yourself a Kins. The Exy Kins combo, kind of a tale as old as time. As far as hunters go, I'm gonna back up and start heading over towards the Gold Fury now that we got all the towers over and right. Gonna be grabbing myself that
They'll
Kins.
never defeat us now.
They've got quite a few characters that can end up going tanky. They're gonna have a bunch of HP on Kumba. They got the Athena. They got a Shiva. He's liable to get himself quite a bit of HP as well with the Gladiator's Shield, with the Manticore's Earring, all that stuff. So I want to make sure that I've got the anti-HP capabilities. And because our attack speed is generically going to be near cap, we're just going to get a ton of value out of it as well. Woo, good. Good little Ra ultimate right there was pretty hype. Even though they get that, we should be able to just shove kind of wherever we want. Doesn't really matter. As long as we're relatively grouped right now. Last item's going to be a total flex slot. You can honestly put whatever you need into it. If you need anti-heal, you could fill it with anti-heal. If you want to get an oboe, oboe can be very annoying. You've got the Silver Branch Bow on guys that have a lot of attack speed. Cherry doesn't usually get enough overcap in order to make efficient use out of that Silver Branch, so I don't love it on her. I do love the oboe on her. And I also am never against just getting more percent pen. I think Titan's Bane in certain situations is actually an underrated hunter item because it gives you a bunch of that flat percent penetration, which is really useful for like shoving the Phoenixes and stuff. Executioner not giving you that value against the Phoenixes, that's something like a Titan's Bane is. And so you'll be surprised how much faster you're burning the towers and the Phoenixes when you have something like a Titan's Bane, and when you don't.
Don't mess with us.
Got an AMC shoving over in the left lane. He could move towards that Phoenix line, but he's only level 15, so I don't super have to worry about it. Roz is running up in mid. We'll go get some poke on him. I love the attempt there from Sobek, but kind of got uked around the tower on that one. I'm actually going to go back in and I'm going to shell him to try to keep him alive. Kuma ulti just a little bit too early. I need to skadoodle out of this one. We are too spread as a team right now. We need to go grouped up. Probably grouped up actually around that Fuego.
Turn the tide.
Because 20 minutes is fire, giant o'clock. Also, dominance is a great item. Same concept as the Titan's Bane, where you get all of that penetration. Also depends on if you're a little bit more of a...
We like
Cherry
it.
can get a lot of use out of the Titan's Bane, especially with the interaction between her 2 and the Titan's Bane because of the reduction on reduction action. But dominance is always a good go-to as well. People kind of forget that dominance exists, but dominance, that passive that you get on it right here, also does apply to towers and objectives and stuff. So you actually get that 25% on your autos, which is a lot of value. A lot of value. Quick little mini game here on Cherry. Your tide works just like Poseidon's does. So try to make sure that your tide is higher than lower. When your tide is lower, you won't get as much value out of your abilities. For example, if you don't have the tide up, you won't be able to get the knock-up portion of your 3. You'll just get it regular. Obviously, that's a big deal.
Look at me.
Speaking of big deals. Oh, I'm in trouble. Yeah. I can't get in the range for my 3. He's too fast. He's a speedy boy. He is actually going to have a lot of HP. He's going to go that tankier glide shield style of build. Too many of us died right there, so we couldn't quite finish him. At this point, I'm just going to save my cash. And I'm going to level up my leather cow when I respawn, although I need 1 creep, which is awkward. 1 creep! For that level 20. Then we'll be able to buy the leather cow. And then this build, I'm probably going to finish up with an oboe in this situation. Our objectives seem to be fine so far. So I'll just get a bunch more poke out with those very annoying oboe lightning chains. Now this is also the stage of the game in about we're ahead right now, but in the next 5 minutes or so, that 25 to 30 minute marker, that is when you will start to feel Cherry drop off, and that's because you're getting into the later stage of the game where being closer range on a hunter really starts to be a negative. Earlier in the game, it's not that big of a deal because you just got so much damage you can outright kill people, especially with a pen on your 2. But once you start getting later into the game, 25 to 30 minute marker, that's when you start to feel the fact like, oh, I wish I could be standing a little bit further back right now and actually being able to properly utilize my abilities. So I'm just having to get too close. Having to get too close. I'm getting myself put out of position. My 3 isn't quite as useful as it used to be because I'm getting CC'd instantly, so I don't really have an opportunity to use it like this. It's hard to get yourself in some situations like that. Pop the shell for my team. Not just gonna keep me alive, but other people on the squad because they need a little love themselves. Need a little love themselves. If we get a plug, we can probably kill somebody here. We do get the plug on Athena. She tries to get the beads up, but it's a little bit late, it seems. Got that nice glowy yellow effect. I do got to be careful of this raw gray Discordia play. I'm going to dive into the tower. I can use my 3 to make sure that I don't take aggro. Don't want to steal that from my colleague, but she's also not going to get it at all, actually. And I'm just going to start focusing on the tower. Wait, AMC is going to stay. Going to turn quickly, try to help out with the AMC. We've got Oni shoving down the lane. We're not going to be able to get a Phoenix, but I might be able to run over to mid lane and grab a second tier 2.
Destroy the left enemy tower.
Got Oni shoving out the right lane as well. So we got ourselves a Shiva. Yeah. I'm going to have to hop out and just try to go for some Aussie lifesteal right here. You can see right there kind of the downside of the Cherry 3. He blinks on us, we click our 3, but he just uses his 1. His 1 interrupts us out of it. Then he follows up, can immediately hit us with the 2. We take like 500 damage that we were trying to avoid because of that pre-fire time on the Cherry 3. But now we can grab ourselves that cow. We can also begin to work on that oboe. We'll have that almost finished as well. And it is basically Fire Giant 2 o'clock. And then we can actually start shoving for some Phoenixes. So most Smite games right now are going about 30 to 35 minutes, 25 to 35 depending. But most games are not being decided. It's a bit of a deceiving number. Games are not being decided at the 35-minute marker when the game is ending, right? That's just when the Titan happens to die. Games are being decided at the 15-minute marker in those team fights. That's why you have to be ready for it and start rotating. Keep your eye on the clock because those 15-minute team fights are the ones that are currently deciding Smite games. It takes another, usually about 15 minutes, to go through the motions of playing Smite to like, okay, we got to get the objectives, we got to do the things, we got to get the fire, we got to get the Phoenixes. It takes a little bit more time to go through the motions and actually get the game to end, but don't let that fool you. The games themselves, they're being decided at that 15 to 20 minute marker when people are grouping up and grabbing the kills.
May the cosmos grant us sight.
Now my job at the end of these fights, as much fun as it would be to run around in PvP, my job is to grab these Phoenixes. So I quickly grab that mid Phoenix. I preemptively beat anything that the Kumba could have done to me. And now I get set up for this left Phoenix. We got the creeps coming up. I'm going to heal off of these creeps really quick, and then I'm immediately just going to start going for the Phoenix. ADCs are the PvE. The PvE characters, you got to be ready. You got to grab those Phoenixes. I know, we want to dive the fountain with our assassin. That would be fun, but that is not our job. Our job is to PvE, and now our job is going to be to waddle over to the fire giant. Oh, that was a 449 from that tick of solar blessing. Dang, son. I just wanted to hop into my 3. I just wanted to hop into my 3, Mr. Solar, my butt. That was a really good jump from Kali right there. She's going to get all the resets. That's a big play. That's a thick Kali, dude. 12-0. He's a thick Kali. I'm going to grab a sentry ward or 2 and rank the beats. At this stage of the game, we are just going through the motions of playing a game of Smite. We're getting all the objectives on the map. We're getting all the farm on the map. They've got 2 Phoenixes down. They're down like 20k gold, 20 kills. We grab the Gold Fury, we run over, we grab the Fuego, we shove down the last Phoenix, bada bing, bada boom, game is over. Build-wise, those first 5, you can run every game if you want to. Exchange out the Hunter Scout for Destil if you need to. Grab your Transcendence Aussie Executioner. Nothing ever wrong with going at Kins. Kins isn't always the best item, but it's never a bad item ever. So you can always throw it in that slot. And then that last slot is almost entirely a flex. It's like the one part of a Hunter build right now that you can actually flex it on. Usually, you're going to go to something like an oboe for a bunch of attack speed and annoyingness, or a bunch of penetration with like a dominance or a Titan or something. Or even an anti-heal. Especially if nobody else on your team is buying anti-heal. Sometimes you have to suck them up on a Hunter and buy anti-heal, even though you'd really prefer not to. It's a lot easier for your your teammates to get like the brawlers and the pestulances and stuff, but sometimes your teammates don't buy anti-heal and that's the way she goes. So you gotta buy a toxic blade or something. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. That's the way she goes. This is gonna be a very hard defense for them, if not impossible. So I'm gonna sit here and grab the Phoenix. I'm just gonna start attacking the Kuma on the back. I really don't care who my target is. Anybody that I hit is gonna take a lot of damage. You can see, even though this Kuma's quite tanky, taking a lot. I'm gonna go for the ulti over there on the Shiva, because I see that he is stunned, which means he is set up for me. I didn't have to try to YOLO hit the Cherry ulti on my own. I had it just sitting there for me. Gonna slow down that Raw. Great pluck, and we're gonna be able to wrap this game up. The TLDR for Cherry. Play aggressive in the early game. Partner yourself with an aggressive support if you can. Sobek, great partner with the Cherry. We can play aggressively. We can go for those early game fights. Push our early clear. Push our early lead. Group up as soon as you get to that 15-minute marker. Start shoving down the objectives while you're still in the strongest state with Cherry. And then hopefully by the time you get towards that 30-minute marker, where she starts to drop off pretty significantly, you're already in a position where you've won the game. It's also the reason why early to mid-game gods right now widely performing better than ultra late-game gods, guys. And that is your Cherry ADC guide. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep the channel alive. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.